Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm Stuart Jaffe. I write all kinds of science fiction and fantasy, and we're doing a reading today. Today I'm going to read from Southern Spirit, which is the 9th book in the Max Porter Paranormal Mystery series, which is about, the series is about a guy who moves to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and discovers his office is haunted by the ghost of a 1940s detective. So he does what anybody in that situation would do. He starts a detective agency with a ghost. And I take real history of the triad, the area, mix it with ghosts and witches and curses. I'm going to just read the opening chapter, give you a taste of it, and that'll be that. So here we go. Southern Spirit, Chapter 1. Max Porter's knee bounced like a jackhammer until Sandra placed a hand on his leg. His wife threw a stern look his way, one that warned him to calm down or deal with her wrath. But beneath her harsh glare, he saw understanding. After all, never before had they sat in a living room belonging to a coven of witches. In fact, the entire house belonged to the Mobley Coven, also known as the Coven of the Carolinas, one of the most powerful covens in the South, that prided itself on keeping a low profile while simultaneously defying any who tried to hold power over them, such as the Hull family once did. This all according to the private witch wiki Sandra knew about. That, of course, only added to Max's nerves. Sandra's knowledge of witchcraft had grown at an astounding rate. Once Max had backed off his objections, she devoured every book she could find. She pored over websites, she joined forums, and she became the Porter Agency's de facto expert. It should not have come as a surprise that the witch community took notice, but Max did feel sucker punched when earlier that day Sandra walked into the office to announce that Mobley Coven had reached out to her. They wanted to talk about something vital. The rough voice of Marshall Drummond, their partner, and a ghost of a detective from the 1940s burst in. How much longer do we have to wait here? They're the ones who said this was so important we had to rush on down here, so what's the holdup? Sandra turned her strong eyes onto the ghost. While Max had only ever been able to see Drummond, Sandra could see all ghosts, including Drummond. We've been here less than 10 minutes. Have some patience. Well, you two might have to sit there all polite, but I don't. I'm checking this place out. Maybe I'll find something interesting, like a secret room. The ghost tightened his trench coat and lowered his fedora, as if bracing against a harsh storm. Then he slipped through the living room walls. Nice walls, Max thought. Not just the walls, but the entire house looked well cared for. If not for the fact that he knew the house belonged to a coven, he would easily have assumed a classic all-American type family owned the place. Nestled in the back corner of a mid-priced development, nothing about it suggested the use of spells. No odd odors, no strange sounds, and no secret rooms. At least none that they had seen so far. But Max admitted that they had not seen much of the house. They had driven south out of downtown Winston-Salem and came upon the development just off Darwick Road. The lawn had been freshly mowed, and a minivan sat in the driveway. When they rang the doorbell, a young lady with a soft face answered and sat them in the living room. All too normal. I knew it, Drummond said as he floated back into the living room. Everything about the place looks normal, except there's a room on the second floor that I can't get into. It's been warded against ghosts. Max's gut tightened. Suddenly, the light curtains, the plush couch, the thick carpeting, the cute knickknacks, and the warm paintings became fictions of a home. He could sense the cold of witchcraft seeping through the wood. They should never have come here. This was a bad idea all around. Hun, Max said, and placed his hand over hers. We should probably go. Stop it, she said. Both of you. Show a little respect. They went out of their way to contact me, so let's at least hear them out. Because hearing out witches always goes so well, he said, absently rubbing his chest. The curse branded into him by Mother Hope, leader of the powerful Magi, heated up whenever he thought about it. She had agreed never to use it against him as long as he behaved, making it a grenade she could pull the pin out of whenever she felt like it. I'm not comfortable with this. I know you're better about the witches and all, but let's go now. We can talk to them on the phone. A middle-aged woman entered the living room carrying a serving tray with a carafe of coffee and 3 china cups. I apologize for the wait, she said. Her voice played into the suburban facade surrounding them, as did the simple skirt and blouse that she wore. She set the tray down and served the coffee. Being a bunch of witches, you'd think we would have some way to make coffee faster, but alas. And don't get me started on those instant cup things. Not for me. Call me old-fashioned, but sometimes the old ways are the best. And what should we call you? Sandra asked. My apologies again. I'm Lena Mobley. After handing Max and Sandra each a cup, she settled into a high-backed upholstered chair and sipped her. Getting a better look at her, Max saw a college girl with black lace covering her shoulders and neck. But in this house, she might wear such things all the time. Lena put out her hand until the young lady sat on the arm of the chair. This is my sister Jessica. You'll have to forgive me for not bringing the rest of the sisters out to greet you. But they are all off searching. Searching? Sandra said. Well, that's why you're here. One of our coven has gone missing. Jessica sniffled and produced a black handkerchief from an unseen pocket. Max couldn't tell if the tears were genuine or forced, but he knew Lena's concern rang true. Yet, she had played the calm and gracious host until now. Drummond floated near the corner of the ceiling with his arms crossed. Just reminding you two that we are in a coven's home, and they've got a room warded against us. I'm voting we leave this place before we hear anything we can't unhear. Max agreed. I'm sorry that you've lost one of your group, but that's really a matter for the police. You should file a missing persons report. Lena's gentle grin vanished. I should think it's obvious that our kind cannot go to the police. Certainly not for something as delicate as this. Why is it? Max's mind, that reaction looked rather angry. Sandra set her coffee down with a clink. Please forgive my husband. He doesn't mean to be rude, but he also doesn't know the subtleties of a coven. If you would, please, tell us as much as you can about what happened. Lena and Jessica. Minor and inconsequential. For those in the real community who do more serious spells, but never anything dangerous. Drummond snickered. Sure, I bet they're squeaky clean. Anyway, Laverne offered to take in the money, and she headed out to the bank. After she made the deposit, she said she went to the pharmacy, and that was it. She never returned. She never phoned or texted again. Nothing. So you called us right away? Max asked. The whole thing sounded off. Well, the first thing we did was to cast a basic location spell. That turned up nothing, which could mean she's been taken out of range, or perhaps whoever stole her has used magic to block out a spell. There are numerous other possibilities. Your wife knows. She can explain it to you later. I'll remember that. What else did you try? Did you summon something to find her? A ghost, perhaps? Hey, Drummond said, don't be giving them ideas. Jessica put her hand on Lena's shoulder, and Max got the distinct impression that the touch had been meant to calm Lena. A breath later, Lena said, we performed all the proper spells expected in this situation without resorting to dangerous things such as you suggest. We want to hire your agency to find her. If you fail, then perhaps we'll consider more risky behavior. Sandra said, did Laverne have any enemies? Did somebody threaten her recently? Lena grinned. We're witches. Of course we have enemies. We get threatened all the time. However, I must admit that recently we've been in a more sensitive state. Our enemies have grown bolder, and their reasons may not be so pure. Biting back his frustration, Max said, that's quite vague. If you want us to be able to help, we need more specifics. I'm afraid that's all I can really say. If it helps, she went to the Triad Pharmacy on Walton Street. Drummond smacked his hands together to get some attention. Will you two stop asking pointless questions? Let's get out of here. It's not like you're actually considering taking their case. Brushing at his pants, Max stood. They had come as requested, they had listened, and now they needed to go. But Sandra did not move. The witches took notice, and an unsettling quiet came over the room. It took a bit of his will to remain standing. I understand, Lena finally said as she pulled the checkbook from her pocket. I had hoped that we would convince you to help us out of respect. Looking at Sandra, she said, particularly you. But, as you said, the two of you are a team. I have no doubt that Mr. Porter would rather not work for a witch count, so I shall appeal to your more base instincts. Ripping loose a check, she held the paper out to Max. We took the liberty of investigating your business a little bit. Jessica here is quite capable with a computer. While she has made it clear that our estimate is rough, it doesn't matter since our offer is approximately your yearly income. Max snatched the check far quicker than he had intended. Their research hit the mark quite close. Though loath to admit it, he found the money tempting. Business had not been bad of late, but they had learned the crucial first rule in a life of self-employment. Nothing remained constant. 1 month business would be booming, the next month crickets. The idea of getting paid a full year's salary for one job meant food on the table, house and car upkeep maintained, and maybe even some financial breathing room. Sandra must have known all the thoughts that raced through his head because she did not say a word. She sat there with her hands in her lap and looked up at him. Max could read her face well. She knew the conclusion already and merely waited for him to catch up. You're kidding me, Drummond said, clearly catching on as well. Pocketing the check, Max turned to Lena and put out his hand. Looks like we're working for a witch company. Thank you. That's the end of the first chapter. Wow, that went fast. If you like, I'll read another chapter. Sure, why not? We have time. Chapter 2. Max entered their downtown office and settled at his desk. Sandra flicked on the lights as she came in behind. Neither had spoken on the drive back. And Drummond had been notably absent. Rubbing his face, Max prepared for somebody to be tipped off. Oh, you're finally back, Drummond said, poking his head out of the built-in bookcase. Max's stomach rumbled. They had skipped breakfast. and he could smell the alluring aroma of lunchtime cooking drifting up from the corner shop nearby. To keep his mind off food and Drummond, Max pulled out a photograph of Laverne that the coven had provided. She looked about mid-50s, thick, red hair, and a devilish grin that made her chosen endeavor entirely believable. If Max hadn't known already, he would have guessed he looked at a witch. "I've got something to say." Drummond swept into the center of the room, his hands snapping out as he spouted his exasperations. "It's become undeniable that the two of you like to ignore me when it comes to what cases we take on. I couldn't have been more clear that working for a witch coven was a monumentally bad idea, yet you grabbed the money at first chance." "It's a lot of money," Max said. "And no offense, but you don't have to worry about paying bills anymore." "Bills or not, that doesn't matter. I'm still one of the founders of this agency, and I deserve to be heard. Heck, if you didn't have me here, this place would have failed a long time ago." Sandra sat on the edge of her desk. "I agree. In fact, I think I deserve the same." Crap. Max hadn't expected to be arguing with both of them at once. "What are you upset at? We took the case." "I'm not upset. I simply want to point out that I have spent a lot of time studying witchcraft, and I not only contribute to our knowledge of lore, but I have on several occasions cast spells that have saved us. Like Drummond, this agency would have failed without me." "Very true," Max said, keeping his voice level. "Both of you are indispensable to our business. I thought you knew that, and I thought we had been good at making sure all our voices were heard." Drummond swiped off his hat and held it out like a weapon. "The point isn't that I ain't being heard all the time. The point is that you don't listen when it matters. These are witches. You can't trust them." "Hey, give me a little credit. I know exactly the kind of people we're working for." "Then why are you doing it?" Sandra's frown suddenly shifted into open worry. "Hun, are we having money trouble again?" The word again choked in her throat. Max wanted to rush over, hug her, and assure her that all would be fine. But he remained in his seat. "We're not in a terrible situation. Not yet." "Not yet? The big chunk of money we got a few years back, we've used up a lot of it. There's still plenty. I mean, I'm not worried about us eating tomorrow or anything, but it won't last us more than a few years, and that's provided we don't end up in the hospital or anything serious like that. This isn't news. We've been in this situation for a while." "How? I thought we had investments, interest, that kind of thing." "We do. But I'm new to all of that, and I made mistakes. I'm still learning." Picking at his hat, Drummond said, "So you accepted a case from a witch coven because you're worried you'll run out of money in a few years? Sorry, Max, but that's still stupid." Sandra walked over and kissed the top of his head. "I understand." He knew she did. They had been through enough economic turns together that she had to share the same short-term and long-term fears he held. "Great," Drummond continued. "You two are all lovey-dovey about taking on a case that might kill you because the money makes you feel secure. I'm so glad we're partners in all of this." Max shook his head. "Come on, it's not like that. I did hear your concerns and I share them. I haven't been hiding my feelings about witches. Even Sandra's dabbling bothers me." Sandra's eyes flared. "Don't start that again. That was settled." "Well, you didn't give me much choice. Basically, I was told you're delving into witchcraft, and I better just shut up and like it." "That's not at all what happened, and you know it." "See?" Drummond shot between them. "This is part of it right here. We haven't even begun working on the case, and already it's got us at each other's throats. I'm telling you right now, go pick up the phone, call the Mobley Coven, and tell them we quit." The front door burst open, and Max's mother rushed in, followed by the sandwich boys, PB&J. For a fleeting breath, Max thought he had been saved from the argument, but a quick survey of his mother's stern face and the boys' foul moods suggested fighting with Sandra and Drummond would be the lesser pain. Mrs. Porter stormed over to the coffee maker and slammed through the process of setting it up. Excuse me. "I know I'm the new one around here, but I'm also the oldest among you. You act like I'm fresh off the turnip truck." PB puffed up his teenage chest. I don't even know what that means. Jammer Jay kept his head low and slunk toward the back corner. He always struck Max as a smart boy, smarter than most, and he continued to prove it by knowing when to get out of the way. Mrs. Porter turned back with a coffee scoop in her hand. It means, young man, that I've raised a boy before, and have dealt with stubborn men before, and you will not win this. You're going to get registered, and you are going to school. Max let loose a relieved laugh. Is that all this is about? You had me thinking something bad had happened. Something bad will happen to these boys if nobody starts to take responsibility for them. She curled her lip towards Sandra. Maybe it's a good thing you never had kids. You can't handle boys that are almost grown. Sandra's entire body went rigid, and Max, ready to leap between the two women, should have come to actual blows. Well, it's just stupid, PB said, breaking the tension as he strutted around the room with teenage arrogance. I've been doing just fine without school. Got a job, got a place to live, got enough money to live. Isn't that what school is for? To help you get those kinds of things? Well, I already got them. Seems pretty clear I don't need school's help. Mrs. Porter gestured to PB like a game show hostess displaying a prize. Need I say more? Sandra's fingers curled into tight fists. In an even tighter voice, she said, Don't belittle him. I'm trying to get through to all of you that these boys need an education. The fact that you can't see that I'm right only proves further the need for a sure hand around here. I'm the only experienced person amongst a lot of you, and if I can raise Max into the fine man he is, I can certainly make the right decisions for these boys. Somebody has to. Slamming her laptop closed, Sandra gathered up her things. She stopped to the door. We've got a case that needs some research done. I'll go talk with our clients and get started. She walked out, making sure to give the office door a strong bang. Drummond said, I think I'll take a look around the building. Make sure the office is secure. When you finish in here, I'll be ready to start our end of it, the investigation. Max couldn't decide which excuse was more ridiculous, but he wanted to say something before Drummond left. Talking to a ghost, however, would only upset his mother more. Instead, he got to his feet and approached her. But before he could speak, she put her fists to her hips and leaned forward, a stance he knew too well, and it filled him with the same fear he had as a child. He was in trouble. Now you listen to me, she began, and he stopped mid-stride. Your wife is your wife, and I'm not going to get in the middle of that. She and I don't agree on much, and that's fine. I can handle the way things are between us all. If your wife wants to be disrespectful to the mother of her husband, and you don't wish to defend me, that's fine. Marriage, marriage comes with a price. And sometimes it's the other members of the family that have to pay it. But these boys should not be the ones to suffer because the two of you can't get your act together. PB had gravitated toward Jay. We don't need school. We're survivors, and all school is going to do is fill us up with nonsense that can't help us out. Not with the kind of lives we got. But don't you see? She brushed by Max and put her arms out to the boys. An education can change all that. You can have a better life. You can have more. Heard it all before. And Jammer Jay's black. You think he's going to get anything more just because he got an education? Come on. To Max, he added, You know I'm right. We got a good thing here working for you. Don't let this school thing screw it all up. Bad enough to be stuck in the middle of this verbal tug-of-war, but Max's mind kept trying to follow Sandra. She could handle talking with the coven just fine, but her entire demeanor struck him as worrisome. They had not talked much about her casting more and more spells, yet he knew she wanted to do so. What if the coven convinced her to become a full-fledged witch? Are you even listening to me? Mrs. Porter said. Enough, Max said, startling his mother. I can't do everything. And right now, I've got to work on a case that's going to pay for all of our food and clothes and such. You boys like being paid regularly, right? Well, this is what I have to do to make sure that happens. So when it comes to your educations, my mom is in charge. He raised a finger to stop PB's objection. Jay is too young to avoid school. PB, you're probably too young also, but there are dropout ages that we can't stop you from leaving school. So we need to find out about that. Don't get your hopes up. I'm pretty sure you've got some school coming your way. PB's mouth disappeared as his eyes narrowed. That's not right. Maybe, maybe not, but it's the way it is. It's the way of it. Mom, you take Jay with you and get him all squared away. PB will work with me today, and perhaps he and I can talk about this further. Mrs. Porter clutched Jay's hand. I'd rather take both the boys at the same time. It'll be easier. You'll manage. She paused, perhaps considering whether to argue further, but then she said to Jay, come along. After they left, PB stormed over to the small bathroom next to the kitchenette. I'm not going. We'll discuss it later. Right now, I've got a secret job for you to do. PB poked his head out of the bathroom. He couldn't suppress the grin on his face. I'm in. Thank you. So anyway, that's Southern Spirit, which, like I said, is the 9th book. So most of those characters started there from the beginning, and they'll come in, or they come in later within a few books. And thank you all for joining me.